We come to the third report from the referred from the Audit and Risk Committee on the Auckland Council Ho Ora Wellbeing Program update. We have present from staff Emma Mosley, who's our Wellbeing Program Manager. And again, I'll ask Councillor Newman to move and Deputy Mayor Cashmore to second, and Councillor Daniel Newman to introduce the item.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I'm happy to move this report, another report referred from the Audit and Risk Committee, the Auckland Council Ho Ora Wellbeing Program update, and to acknowledge Emma Mosley, who's on the call to take questions on the matter, and just to commend Emma for the work that she does in managing in this space. This is a critical standing item, frankly, and I do commend to colleagues who have not participated in Audit and Risk Committee discussions in relation to the work that we do. It's fascinating stuff, and I think this is, once again, it's a very timely piece of work. So I want to thank the officers for their work, and I commend this report for consideration.
Thank you, Councillor. And we have a question from Councillor John Watson.
Yeah, thanks. So my question goes to the fairly extensive commentary from points 30 to 36, and that really goes to the, I guess, the integrity of the Speak Up program that's been undertaken by Council. While we're told that things are, progressing reasonably well, or there's little grounds for concern, or it's going okay, there is a reference there that there's a process underway to implement an external channel to strengthen internal Speak Up channels. This is for things like bullying and harassment, so incredibly important in terms of addressing that sort of cultural issue within the organisation. So could someone please tell me, A, what has prompted that concern in the first instance, which I understand in circumstances such as I just referred to, of going to an option where people can go to some external person or entity to address their Speak Up concerns. So one, what's prompting that, and two, what do you have in mind to enable people to speak up freely and without fear of retribution as a consequence of complaining or revealing something?
Emma, could you address that question, please?
Kia ora. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor, for your question. The first question, what has prompted the decision of ELT to proceed with the procurement process for an external line? The external service that we are looking to procure for Council is a supplementary service for our Speak Up processes. So we have a number of options available to staff where they can speak up about any matter that is not in line with our charter. When the Ho Ora Wellbeing Review was undertaken and the report received by the Chief Executive, there was some observations and commentary and recommendations around Speak Up and some feedback that had been received through the review process that signalled that it would be desirable to A, do a review of Speak Up, and B, look at the option of supplementing our processes with an external line to address any concerns that there is not in any perception or real concerns that the existing options may not be fully secure, or that they'd feel more comfortable going to an external supplier separate to Council and outside. So that process has been started. We've been working with the newly established Challenger Group to work on what the functional requirements are for the external line, and we will be going out with the request for proposal in the next week or so to see what services might be able to be procured to make sure that we can bring about that. So that's what's prompted it. and that's why we're looking to supplement and strengthen our existing Speak Up framework to provide this additional option for staff. What do we have in mind is that it will be provided by an external and expert provider, that it will be similar in nature to the options we have already at council, so that staff can use telephone or other means to make contact, raise concerns, and then they will be looked into and addressed. So it will run. We are working on how to have the external process integrated properly and appropriately with transparency and good probity into our systems. There'll need to be good integration to make sure that this works. And all of those considerations are to be worked through in the coming weeks as we go through the process. We are planning to have the process completed to a point where we can be making a recommendation to the executive around appointment of such a service by the end of this year, and then implementing in the early new year.
Okay, thank you, Emma. There's a very thorough explanation there. So what I'm taking from that is that any staff member will have the choice to go to the external provider who will have personnel there who will deal with their issue, and that will be then dealt with in confidentiality in terms of any reporting back to council personnel, which must inevitably happen at some stage. So I'm assuming that the personnel contact, which is the critical one in terms of trust and confidence, is going to be available then to anyone who chooses to use that provider.
That's correct, and confidentiality and the correct handling of that process will be paramount. It will depend on what it is that's raised and how that is handled, and the protocols around that will have to be worked through with the implementation of the provider.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Question, Councillor Efeso-Collins.
Oh no, I'll withdraw. Sorry, my baby's a bit radical.
It's okay. Quite understood. Councillor Angela Dalton.
Thank you. Thank you, Emma. This is really good work. I was just thinking about the elections next year and wondered if there's an opportunity for our Speak Up program and No Excuse for Abuse campaign. It is a campaign, I'm assuming it will carry on through, could be included in any packs that go to people who are thinking they're standing for office or thinking of standing for office as our values, our principles, as they apply to not just the public and staff, but elected members as well.
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I think we are. And I have been working with the team in governance to discuss elected members and the needs going forward in relation to wellbeing. The onboarding process post-election is one of the things that is being reviewed and looked at, and there are a number of wellbeing drivers, if you like abuse, and I note that this was discussed earlier in the agenda under other items as well, that do need to be addressed, and providing information at all points in the life cycle of an elected member, I believe, would be a good thing to look at, and I think that is a good suggestion that I should take back to the team to discuss about that as well.
Thank you, Emma. And the part that elected members play and their responsibility to it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are no further questions. Are there any comments? If not, I will put the motion that we note the report and that it will be forwarded to the local boards for information. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 To the contrary, no. I declare that carried, and thank you very much, Emma, for your answers.